My name's J.C. McCauley.
I'm Naisha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
Good morning, and welcome back to Miss Cleo's Storytelling Corner. This morning, we're going to do storybook, and I hope that you are building up your libraries for your children and for your grandchildren. Building them up and telling them stories that will be remembered for a long, long time. Stories are very important to tell. I have this, how important stories are. And it's from William. I love his book and for his stories. And I've told you several of his stories. William Bauch, or Bach. It's like B-A-U-C-H. I've had his book for years and years. And he has 12 characteristics of stories. And stories provoke curiosity and compel repetition. Unite us in a holistic way to nature or our common stuff of existence. Is a bridge to one's culture and one's roots, binds us to all of mankind, to the universal human family, helps us to remember, uses a special language, and stories do use a special language, don't they? Restore the original power of the word, provoke escape, or provide escape, and it does. When you go into a story, you escape whatever's around you, whatever's bothering you, could relax and push yourself into the story, and that's so true. Evoke in us right brain imagination, tenderness, and therefore wholeness. Promotes healing. Every story is our story. Provoke or provide, I don't know why I keep saying provoke, provide a basis for hope and morality are the basis, and they are the basis for ministry. The paradox of story. Spirituality is rooted in earthiness. The absolute is known in the personal. Freedom is discovered in obedience. Triumph grows out of suffering. Security is found in uncertainty. Prayer is offered through study. I've read these for years and years and have kept them with me as I tell stories. Stories promote healing, and that was a big surprise to me when I became a storyteller, and people would come up to me after the story. You never know where your story's going. That's why it's important to tell stories. It's important for you to tell your story to your children. Please tell your story to your children. There's nothing like sitting next to your parents and them telling you stories of their life. and when they were young and the things that they did. That is a wonderful time. I can remember sitting by my grandmother and her telling me so many things about her young life and when she was young. And then after she was gone, she had told me these stories, but she had not told them to anybody else. But I was a curious one. So I told the stories to my family, and they really appreciated. They really appreciated them. So tell your stories to your children. Today is storybook time. And if you have a book like this is 20th Century Children's Book of Treasures, and I've shown it to you before. Get one of these for your children. It may be a different book that you need, but it's stories throughout the years, young stories that we had when we were children, that we heard in school when we were children, and after we were children. And it's a wonderful book to have around. Now, I just came to this story. I'm not going to read it to you right now, but this is one of the stories that I really loved when I was a kid. Madeline. I really love the story of Madeline. Madeline is in an orphanage in Paris. And everything is just so. Everything is just so. I love that story of Madeline. And this I just want to go through the book a little bit. A chair for my mother. And she's saving her pennies for her mom. For her mom. And I can remember saving pennies for my mom to buy my mom a present or something like that. So it's you go down memory lane with the stories. And just a snowy day. Those are stories from when we were children. And so guess how much I love you. I think I told that this year already. I think I read that story this year. So get a book like this with all kinds of children's stories in it, and sit down at night or a special time you have with your children and read them a story and have them read a story to you. And that's always fun. The first story I'm going to tell you, I just picked this book up going at the house, and I said, oh, I haven't told that in a long time. I read that story in a long time. I don't usually read about, this is a big spooky house. And this is this big strong man. Oh yes. Once there was a man. He was a big man. He was a strong man. And he knew it. He went around picking fights with people just because he knew he would win. He never walked away from trouble because he figured he could always battle his way out of it. One day, the people of the village told him that the army needed volunteers. Since you are a big, strong man, one of the ladies told him, you love to fight, you ought to see if you can fight in the army. He thought about that for a minute, and then he said, yeah. He put his belongings on his back and started out down the road. One of his neighbors hollered after him, hey, it's a long walk. Do you want me to give you a ride in my cart? He was a big man. He was a strong man. He said, I'll walk. As he was going across the countryside, he saw an inn. The innkeeper said, "Hey, it's going to rain this evening. Why don't you stop and stay in my inn for the night?" He was a big man. He was a strong man. He said, "I don't care if I get wet." He walked until the sun went down. As soon as the sky was dark, there was an incredible peal of thunder. Boom! The skies opened. The rain fell down in sheets. He was a big man. He was a strong man. He was a wet man. He didn't like it one bit. He was looking around trying to find some place dry when, in a flash of lightning, he saw a big spooky house up on the hill. Now, most people would have stayed away from that house. It was dark and the gate was falling down. The windows were broken and the paint was peeling. There were holes in the roof and the weeds growing all around the yard. Most people would have stayed away, but not him. He was a big man. He was a strong man. He was not going to be scared by some spooky house sitting up on a big spooky hill kind of man. He went up to the door. When he reached out for the doorknob, the door opened all by itself. Now, most people would have left there and then, but not him. He was a big man. He was a strong man. He went right in. Outside the place was falling apart, but inside it was beautiful. There was a red carpet on the floor leading down a long hallway. Even though the windows were dark outside, there were candles burning in all of the candle holders. He looked around at the beautiful, dry, warm hallway and said, "Yeah." He followed the red carpet to the end of the hallway. There was a huge wooden door. He reached out to open it, but it opened by itself. Creak. Now, most people might have been more than just a little frightened by this, but not him. He was a big man. He was a strong man. He went right into the room. There was a huge fire and crackling logs. There was a huge stuffed chair facing the fire. In front of a chair was a table covered with lots of good things to eat. He just looked at everything and said, "Now, some people would have been too terrified to eat, but not him. He was a big man. He was a strong man. He sat down and got to work. He had that table clear in no time. When he finished, he sat back and put his feet up on the stool. When he opened his eyes, the table had disappeared. He looked around and said, "Wow, whoa, what was that?" He's looking around. He can't find the table. Oh. He fell asleep in front of that fire. Fast asleep is that in that big, comfortable chair until the clock on the wall began to chime. Bong, 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 bong. It chimed 12 times. The man jumped up and said, What? Oh, it's just the clock." The door behind him opened, and in came a black cat. Its fur was matted and dirty. Its eyes were red as the fire. It came across the floor, scraping its claws across the wood. Its voice was thin and squeaky when it meowed. It walked over to the fireplace, jumped into the middle of the fire, picked up a flaming hot coal, and started to lick it. Then it looked straight at the man and said in a slow, screechy voice, "Are you gonna be here when John gets here?" He was a big man. He was a strong man. He was not going to be scared by any cat sitting in any fireplace licking any coal kind of man. He stared into the fireplace and said, "I'll be here when John gets here, and past that." And he snapped his fingers to prove he didn't care. He sat back in his chair and went back to sleep. Woo! I want you to see this picture. Stan, could they see this picture? Am I holding the book right? Mike in the way. I want you to see this man. You see this man? Mm-hmm. How big you see how he snapped his fingers? He's not even scared. Oh. Okay, let's proceed with this man. Okay? All right. Bang! The clock struck 1. The man sat down. What? Oh, it's just the clock. The door behind him opened, and in came another black cat. This one was the size of a Doberman Pinscher. It had black matted hair and fiery red eyes, just like the other one. Its voice was deep and snarly. It walked over to the fireplace, sat next to the other cat, picked up a log, bit off the end, and sat there, crunching noisily. It looked out at the man and said in a slow, snarling voice, "Are you gonna be here when John gets here?" He was a big man. He was a strong man. He was a worried man. But he'd never run from anything in his life, and he wasn't about to start now. So he looked straight at that great big cat and said, I'll be here when John gets here and past that." Then he snapped his fingers to prove he didn't care. He looked around at the shadows of the book and then added, "And I'm not scared." He sat back in that chair, and truth be told, it took him quite a while to get back to sleep. Bong, bong. I have a little creepy bong, huh? Bong. The clock struck 2. The man sat up. What? Oh, again, that's just a clock. The door behind him opened, and in came another black cat. This one was the size of a large pony. Its hair was thick and matted with straw and sticks. Its eyes were bright red, and they were so big they gave off their own light. Its voice was deep, loud, and gravely. He walked over to the fireplace, ate up the other 2 cats, licked the fireplace clean, and then turned those glowing red eyes back toward the man. It opened its mouth to show 2 rows of long, needling, sharp teeth. Then it said to the man in a slow, deep, gravely voice, "Are you gonna be here when John gets here?" He was a big man. He was a strong man. He was a gone man. And there's the picture. All you see is this chair falling back and one leg as the man is running out of there. And at the end of the story, there sits the cat. I want you to show this picture. Sitting there all by himself. I'm going to show you. Keep it right there. You see that man? He gone. He is gone. The big, strong man is gone. He had enough of that. And there sits a big cat all by himself. And that is the story of the big spooky cat, a big spooky house. Now, you know I wouldn't went in that house. And if I did have enough courage to go up to the door, when it go, and that door opened, I would not have gone in. Maybe you would be like the big strong man. Would you be like the big strong man and go into that house? Would you have run away after? Huh? Would you have done that? Or would you have waited for John? I would not have waited for John. No. They fed him well, though. Well, what were they going to do to him? Well, I'm going to do this. Should I do? No, we're going to go to the commercial. Let's go to commercial first. And I'll be right back with our next story. Stay with us.
We all know smoking is harmful, right? But did you know that even after the smoke clears, the danger remains? This is called third-hand smoke. Third-hand smoke is the toxic residue left behind on surfaces like furniture, walls, or even clothes. These harmful chemicals can linger for days, weeks, or even months. Young children and pets are especially vulnerable. They can ingest these toxins simply by touching contaminated surfaces and then putting their hands or toys in their mouth. The best way to protect your loved ones? Make your home and car completely smoke-free. Remember, it's not just about the smoke you see, but the unseen toxins you leave behind. Protect your family from third-hand smoke. Choose a smoke-free environment.
Hi, my name is Rhonda Menifee, and I am a new leader of the Hartford Parent University program. The program to me is very important because I feel like a lot of parents really need to get involved in their children's lives. I don't have younger children right now, but I do have grandkids. I have older children, and if this program was around back when my kids were smaller, even though they graduated from high school, I was very active, in their schools. I think a lot of parents would have been a lot more involved because this program actually gets parents involved. They do different programs that make you want to come, that make you want to be involved in your kids' programs. I have experienced some of the programs that they have to offer, and I might say I really enjoyed it, which I know my grandkids would really enjoy it. So this program is very, very important because the way things are going today, our kids really, really need their parents in their lives and focused on what it is that they're doing to help brighten their future.
Welcome back to Miss Cleo's Storytelling Corner. There was this story that I found that I've told you before. I've done a telling for it, but I found it in a book. I said, I haven't done that story in a long time, and I usually don't read it, but after a while, you don't remember everything about a story. Kind of, you could tell it, but I'd rather read my notes. And these are just notes that I took on the story, The Girl with the Incredible Feeling. I've told that several times. I hope that you can some of you might remember it. All right. A girl had an incredible feeling. The feeling had no name, but it was very faithful, and the girl treated it well. The feeling made the girl act in incredible ways. It made her dance, sing wonderful songs, laugh at things others fought about. The feeling made nature enormous and wonderful. She saw and heard incredible things. She imagined men with grape beards, basset hound rappers. One friend who always talked, and one friend who always listened. Birds with eyes like sunglasses, baby adults. On and on her imagination soared as she marveled at the wonders of nature. She couldn't feel anything. Everyone and everything looked and acted the same. I'm reading the wrong part. Okay. Let's go back. On and on her imagination soared as she marveled at the wonders of nature. One day, a man came out of the shadows and complimented the girl on her feeling. He said, "There is great use for it all over the world." The little girl listened. Thus began a series of unfortunate events. The feeling had to be dressed up, straightened out. Scholars, scientists, politicians tried to explain it and give it a name. People tried to steal the feeling and call it their own. As the girl became more popular, the feeling grew weak, faded from neglect, and finally disappeared. At first, the girl didn't notice the feeling was gone. She began to feel empty inside. She had horrible dreams. She could see right through herself. She couldn't feel anything. Everyone and everything looked and acted the same. The girl trusted no one. She knew she had to find her feeling. The shadow man shouted, "Come back!" He tempted her with gifts. He told her jokes. She refused to listen and walked away. Generous young people offered her their feelings. She refused politely and kept on walking. Wise men offered amazing facts, but she ignored them and kept on walking. She kept walking and walking until she was right back where she started. And after a very long time, beautiful smells came back. Amazing sights and sounds came back to her, more incredible than before. And although she was ashamed, she didn't have to apologize or explain. The feeling was back again. I think that was a story from Marlo Thomas, a book that I think Marlo Thomas had produced. I don't think she wrote it, but she Elizabeth Swados wrote this story, and it reminds me of when I was a child and I had this incredible feeling. I had an incredible feeling. Phil told me to do everything. I went everywhere and I did everything. And people, I wasn't unpopular, but I was considered a little different when I was a little girl. And I was with the crowd, but I wasn't with the crowd. You know what I mean? They used to say, "Oh, Cleo's different. Oh, Cleo's this." It was a wonderful thing. But as I got older and started wanting to really be with the crowd, yes, the feeling did fade. It did fade. It was a long time before I got it back. But that's not an unusual thing. It probably happens to most of us, with that wonderful feeling we have when we are children, and then we hit puberty. And then puberty kind of changes everything. Some people can keep that, and some people lose it. Yeah. So that was the girl with the incredible feeling, and I think we all have that at one time in our life. The incredible feeling. I'm going to go into the 20th century children's book of treasure. Wow. I'm going to find a story. I'm not going to do Louise, but I'm going to, there was a story in here about, I gave this book when he was to someone for Christmas in 1998. And it says, "To Ramsey from Mama, with all my love. Always, baby, always, always. And he never really was interested in the book, never took the book. He's not with us anymore. He passed away a couple of years ago. But I gave it to him when he was little, when he was a young boy. I tried to get him interested in reading, and he loved stories. He loved me to tell him stories, and we would dance around with stories. And he loved the Greek stories. I told him some Greek stories, and he really loved that. But he never got into really reading himself, and I think that happens to a lot of us. I think we all love stories, but in some ways, some of us just don't get into. Some of us just don't get into stories. Now, remember the story of Alexander and the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day? All right, I'll do that one for the last story. I was looking for that is 86. Oh, there she goes. And Miss Nelson is missing. Remember that story? Miss Nelson is missing. No, I'm not going to tell that, but I love that. I love that story too. There's so many little stories in here that children would love to hear. And parents, I'm just urging you to read to your children. Bring back the reading. All right, here we go. Alexander and the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. Written by Judith. Oh, why can't these people have names like Smith and Jones? Written by Judith Viorts. It is Viorts. And illustrated by Ray Cruz. Okay. And originally published in 1972. So that was a while back. I went to sleep with gum in my mouth, and now there's gum in my hair. And when I got out of bed this morning, I tripped on the skateboard, and by mistake, I dropped my sweater in the sink while the water was running, and I could tell it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. At breakfast, Anthony found a Corvette Stingray car kit in his breakfast cereal book, and Nick found a junior undercover agent code ring in his breakfast cereal box. But in my breakfast cereal box, all I found was breakfast cereal. I think I'll move to Australia. In the carpool, Mrs. Gibson let Becky have a seat by the window. Audrey and Elliot got seats by the window too. I said I was being scrunched. I said I was being smushed. I said if I don't get a seat by the window, I am going to be car sick. No one even answered. I could tell it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. At school, Mrs. Dixon liked Paul's picture of a sailboat better than my picture of the invisible castle. At singing time, she said I sang too loud. At counting time, she said I left out 16. Who needs 16? I could tell it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. I could tell because Paul and I wasn't his best friend anymore. He said that Philip Parker was his best friend and that Albert Mayo was his next best friend and that I was only his third best friend. I hope you sit on a tack, I said to Paul. I hope the next time you get a double-decker strawberry ice cream cone, part falls off the cone part and lands in Australia. There were 2 cupcakes in Philip Parker's lunch bag, and Albert got a Hershey bar with all almonds, and Paul's mother gave him a piece of jelly roll that had little coconut sprinkles on the top. Guess whose mother forgot to put a dessert? It was going to be a terrible, no good, very bad day. That's what it was, because after school, my mom took us all to the dentist, and Dr. Fields found a cavity just in me. Come back next week and I'll fix it, said Dr. Fields. Next week, I said. I'm going to Australia. On the way downstairs, the elevator door closed on my foot, and while we were waiting for my mom to go get the car, Anthony made me fall where it was muddy, and then when I started crying because of the mud, Nick said I was a crybaby, and while I was punching Nick for saying crybaby, my mom came back in the car and scolded me for being muddy and fighting. I am having a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. I told everybody. No one even answered. So when we went to the shoe store to buy some sneakers, Anthony chose white ones with blue stripes. Nick chose red ones with white stripes. I chose blue ones with red stripes, but then the shoe man said, "We're all sold out." They made me buy plain white ones, but they couldn't make me wear them. When we picked up my dad at his office, he said I couldn't play with his copying machine, but I forgot. He also said to watch out for the book on his desk, and I was careful and could be except for my elbow. He also said don't fool around with his phone, but I think I called Australia. My dad said please don't pick him up anymore. It was a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. There was lima beans for dinner. I hate lima beans. There was kissing on TV. I hate kissing. My bath was too hot. I got soap in my eyes. My marble went down the drain, and I had to wear my railroad train pajamas. I hate my railroad train pajamas. When I went to bed, Nick took back the pillow he had said I could keep, and the Mickey Mouse night light burned out, and I bit my tongue. The cat wants to sleep with Anthony, not with me. It has been a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day, even in Australia. Wow. What a day. What a day he had. Alexander had a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. Wow. Well, that's my one story in here that I will read you. And these little pictures are so cute. So, did you ever have a horrible, horrible, terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day? Have you ever had days like that? I know you have, because I've had very horrible days sometimes myself. Yes, I know. We just walk through them, just like Alexander. He's going to go to bed tonight, and tomorrow is probably going to be a better day. Well, it's time to leave you now. And I'm glad you joined me today for our storytelling book day, telling stories from our books. And please, it's nice. Build your library. And I'm telling, and parents, be diligent about your children reading. It's so important. Words are important. And those who are not reading, read to them. Read to them and let them read to you. Well, that's my advice today. So I hope you listen to a little bit of it. And remember, join me next week for another Miss Cleo Storytelling Corner. Read a little, write a little, dream big. And I'll be back next week.